Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the SX3 Studio Hours. This is Jess here. It is November 4th, 2016, and today I would like to talk about holiday overwhelm. The holidays are coming up on us, and so is the new year, and a lot of you in the membership have expressed that feeling of overwhelm about the holiday season. And most of it seems to be centered around, because I asked a few questions, most of it seems to be centered around the immense pressure there seems to be to do a few things. So we seem to feel pressure this time of year to sell a ton of product, um, simply because this is the time of year where everybody seems to be buying things. So that's one of the pressures that we seem to be facing. A lot of us kind of also feel pressure to finish up all our goals and all of our ideas and plans that we had for 2016 before we start 2017. So to kind of tie up all those loose ends, I think a lot of us feel some pressure to do that as well. And then a lot of us are also feeling pressure to spend more time with our family, which obviously, if we look at it on the face of it, it's not very easy to spend more time than usual with your family and do more things for your business at the same time. So all of these things, all of these pressures, all of this stuff that we're trying to do around this time of year, it all seems to kind of, create the perfect storm for burnout and overwhelm. So I asked a few of you in the community, and some of you emailed me some thoughts and ideas and feelings that you had kind of circulating around this topic. And one of the things that was mentioned was goals. So a lot of us will set goals for this time of year, whether they're goals to make a certain amount of sales, make a certain amount of money, all of those types of things. We like to set those goals, with a positive mindset. So a lot of times we'll set goals that might not be as achievable as we may think when we actually write them down. So some people mention scaling down their goals to avoid burnout. And I honestly think this is a very smart move. I think putting too much pressure on yourself to achieve goals, especially during this time of year, during any time of year, but especially during this time of year, I think putting immense pressure on yourself to achieve a certain number can have a negative effect. That number kind of looming over you. I've found, at least in my business, in my life, that having a particular number to reach for usually seems to end up in disappointment, because I usually set the goal being super optimistic, and then when I actually reach it or get close to reaching it, I'm just slightly disappointed. So I do think it's important that we are very reasonable when we set our goals, or that we prioritize our goals. So a lot of times we tend to set multiple goals at once. And I would recommend that if you have multiple goals, maybe you think about scaling back either the size of the goals, or if you don't want to do that, maybe scale back the number of goals. Narrow it down to what will move your business forward the most, what will bring you the most enjoyment, because that's very important, and what is going to give you the biggest leap forward if you were to actually reach that goal. And then you can pour all of your effort into one of these goals, and instead of spreading yourself between several of them. One of the other things that was brought up was pressure to finish 2016 before starting 2017. And I think this for me is a harder pressure to kind of alleviate than the goals, because I like finishing things. Finishing things makes me happy, and I did set a lot of goals for 2016, as I'm sure you guys did, and it's hard to let go of either completing them in 2016 or completing them at all. So what I like to do is I like to take out my entire list. Now I'm going to be doing this along with you guys. I'm going to take out my entire list of goals for 2016 and really, really determine. Again, we have to prioritize. So we're going to really, really determine which one of these goals, or which handful of them, if we want to be generous, um, are really, really important to us, more important than the other ones, because there are always going to be levels. So we need to determine which of these goals that we set in 2016 are important for us to finish in 2016. So maybe some of them have to be done by the end of the year. If they don't, it would be a good idea for us to like sit down and say, all right, I'm okay with this not being done in 2016, but I'd like to set a goal for it to be done by February of 2017. Something like that, where we can kind of, we're not delaying the goal inevitably, but we are giving ourselves permission to continue the goal into 2017 with it still being a priority. Now, if we determine that one of these goals is not a priority, that's where things get interesting. Then we can start letting go of goals that are maybe not important to us anymore, not worth the time and effort that they would take to actually achieve, etc. So we want to really look at each of these goals, determine if it's something that we think we can still finish in 2016, something that we'd like to carry over to the beginning of 2017, or something that we'd like to let go, or maybe put on some sort of long-term idea or goal list that can be saved for later and picked up again when we're ready to put our full effort behind it. Some of the other concerns that were voiced were getting things together in time to actually sell. And I think, again, this goes back to the pressure to sell more during the holiday season than any other time of year. And again, I'm going to go back to prioritizing, because I think this is a very important tool for all of us to learn. Let's say, for example, we have 20 patterns that we want to tweak or create sales for, or whatever it is that we want to do to get them ready for the holiday season. Maybe we need to look down at that list and prioritize, figure out which one of these patterns do we think is going to really sell well, and put our full effort behind those. What I've found the act of prioritizing does is it does a few things. It allows us to clear our plate a little bit, and it allows us to clear our head. So when you prioritize, if you start with item 1 and you happen to have time left over, feel free to move on to item 2. But at the very least, you know that item number 1 was done. This is the power of priority, is that you wind up accomplishing more. But not only do you wind up accomplishing more, you wind up accomplishing more important things. So we're not, I hate to use the word wasting our time, but we're not wasting our time on tasks or projects that might not bring us the results we're looking for. If we prioritize and we sit down and really analyze which tasks and projects are worth our time and effort, it turns out that we start to work on the things that will bring us the bigger returns, will get us closer to our goals. And then in turn, once we've finished those, we can move on to the other things that are maybe important, but not as important. I have found that prioritizing is one of the most important tools in my business toolbox. And that is why I'm stressing it for us at this time of year, because it is really important that we determine where our priorities lie. If our priority is spending more time with our family, maybe we need to let go of, doing amazingly this holiday season. Maybe we just settle for okay, or whatever we can get sale-wise from our business, and instead focus on spending more time with our family. So those priorities are important to sort out. I would really encourage everybody listening to this to sit down, look at your goals, your tasks, your projects that you have left for the end of the year, and really sort through, do a little soul searching, figure out which ones you can let go of, or put on a list for later. I've found that delaying things in the long term, just kind of saying, hey, this is not really important to me right now. I want to save it for later. I still would like to do it, but I don't want to do it right now. I've found that when I put those things aside, it really shows me what's important and what I truly, truly care about. Because those things that I've put aside, if they happen to still gnaw at me, and I still feel like, oh, I wish I hadn't put that one aside, I really want to go back to it, then I know that it's important enough for me to be spending my time on. If it sits on that list and I never think about it or look at it or feel the pull to kind of pick up that project or idea again, then I know maybe it's not for me. All right, well, that's my rant on holiday overwhelm. I really hope that this has kind of helped you guys take a deep breath, take a step back, and determine what is important for you, for your business, and as a person with your family and your friends around you for this time of year. I know it's only November, but I wish everybody a great holiday season. And thank you so much. Stay tuned for episode 3 coming the first Friday in December.